Shannon here. Welcome to Root and Quill. So this video is about trusting the process. I was actually watching a gardening video and it was in the UK where they have allotments, which I just have found that I'm completely fascinated by. And the person was getting very frustrated with something, and he finally just kind of like took a deep breath and he said, I just have to trust the process. And in that moment, it dawned on me that that could be the whole reason I am stuck and have been stuck for months on Silence at the Cemetery, which is book 3 in the Comstock series. I am not trusting my process. Now, book 3 in the Comstock series will actually be 6, 7, 8, 9, my 10th full-length novel. I also have a 4-part free mini mystery series. The link to that is on my website. And I also just at the beginning of January published a new free mini mystery, which is the prequel to the Garden Gate Mysteries. So you would think by the time I got to writing my 10th full-length novel, I would have my process completely figured out and it would be like second nature to sit down and crack out a book. But it's not. And I don't think that many writers are able to do that. I do know that every writer has a process, and it's one that they've developed for themselves. Now, all over YouTube, you can find different people talking about their processes, people that have tried other people's processes, and how they've learned something that works for them and things that don't work for them, things that they can add into their process, things that they would never do again. And I'm guilty of watching those videos and thinking, oh, I could try that. Oh, I could try that. Oh, I'll try that. I'll try that. And I end up, what I've realized, where I'm at right now, which is stuck because I have no direction. My stuff is all over the place. My outline has changed. I don't even know how many times by now. And I'm searching for answers that nobody can really give me. The answer is right here, and it's in my process. So, this is a major epiphany, guys. What has happened was I was plowing right along October, November, December, and about mid-December, I kind of hit a wall. And it was with Silence at the Cemetery. Sorry, it too has had a number of names. Silence at the Cemetery. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I went back. I was looking for information that I knew I had written about in either book 1 or book 2. And the first place I went was to what I was calling my story Bible or my series Bible. And that information wasn't in there. What I had been doing, this one is guilty, and this one is the guiltiest. The guiltiest. This is the Halfway Point Lodge, what I was calling my series Bible. And as it turns out, it's not only, it is a messy collection of brain dumps, timelines, ideas, and nothing in here is as the final book turned out. So while I was working over here and needed a piece of information, I really needed to clarify something. I couldn't find it. I had to go back to the final document that was used to publish book 1 and book 2 and go chapter by chapter through each book to find that bit of information. And it was like, there has to be an easier way. Why isn't it in my series Bible? It should be. That's when I realized that my series Bible was not a true series Bible, and that needed to change. So if I'm not going to put all of my working brain dumps and notes and everything into a notebook, where's it going to go? And that's when everything went off the rails. I didn't know what to do. And I thought, well, really, all I need is the outline. So I put the outline on note cards, which are similar to what I've done in the past. And I put the note cards up onto a bulletin board that's here above my desk. Well, that doesn't help me when I'm not at home. And I was thinking, I had this idea that when I have downtime at school, I might write. I get to school an hour early in the morning just to settle in, and there's a lot of times when I'm kind of like at a loss for what to do with my time. Or I've come in already worried about something and I need to escape for that hour. That's a perfect time to write. The bottom line is nothing was working. January, I ended up with some type of like viral infection, something, and was sick for most of the month. Part of that was I didn't feel like sitting down writing or figuring out this mess at all. But I had an idea for a story that's actually in the romance series under my pen name. And I thought, what am I going to do? I didn't have any notebooks like this, but I did have a few of these little, I had another one laying here. Pen and Gear, that's the brand. Like that. I did have a few of these that I had bought for something, no idea what, and they were sitting here on my desk. So I grabbed one and I started putting everything into it. I just printed off a sticker for the cover and I started putting in my characters and some different settings. And then I was like, well, but I have an outline. So for now, it's stuck in there on the note cards. It's nothing that I'm going to work on, but the basics of this book are now contained in this little notebook. And I set it aside and didn't think anything more about it until about 2 weeks ago when I forced myself to come in and sit down at my desk and stare at all of this. I have to finish some books. I have a 5-year plan, and it includes finishing a lot of books so that I can retire from school. How am I going to do that if I can't get through writing a book? And as I was sitting here, I happened to look over and I found this. And I thought, maybe. So this is a little glimpse. Yes, I am writing some romance. They're sweet romance. They're clean. And one of them is called North of Ordinary. More on that in a different video. I wondered if that little notebook would help this chaos. So I grabbed one and I took it to school with me one day. And I kind of sat and I made a list. What do I need to go in this notebook? I need characters, any pertinent information about my main character. I mean, I know my main characters pretty well, but something like maybe a birth date or something in their past life that, I mentioned once in, book 1 or whatever. Little bits of pieces of information like that for my main characters. I need pages for the new characters that are being introduced. I need pages for new settings that are being introduced. I need pages for the outline. So that's what I did. And I'm not going to share all of the pages because I don't want to give anything away. But I have characters in the first, and then I have settings. I have a place back here for the outline. And the beautiful thing is, I'm not going to lose chapter 12 that's on a note card because they're all in this notebook. The other thing is, if I change something in the outline, add, subtract, I can just make a note on this page or I can add a sticky note. That way, when I am done with this book and it is published, I can take information from here and I can put it into the series Bible. That becomes my resource. I'm no longer hunting and searching for tidbits of information. It's all in here where it should be. So this really goes back to the very beginning. of the very first book I wrote, because all of its notes are in here. The end book doesn't look anything like what's written in here. But realizing that I didn't have to have a brand new process, I just had to alter my process a little bit, elevate my process, has made all the difference in the world. So I just need to make a pretty cover so I know which book is which. I now have a book for Silence at the Cemetery. I have a book for the camera doesn't like to focus. The first book in the Garden Chair Mysteries, which is now officially called The Garden Chair. This notebook is a little bit different, but it's all I had until my order from Amazon came in. So I have that one. Now I have a bunch of notebooks. Oh my goodness. And all the stickers are falling all over the place. But anyway, I have all of these pretty little notebooks for stories. I also have a little pouch with all different colored sticky notes and semi-matching tabs. So what I did, wondering if this would even work, is I had put these two notebooks in the pouch and I took it to school like that with me. I grabbed it out in the morning, I set it on my desk, and I reached for this multiple times throughout the day to make notes, to jot down ideas, most of which I put on sticky notes and then stuck into the section in the notebooks. But I think this is going to work. So I do have Silence at the Cemetery set up that I'm going to continue working on as soon as I wrap up this video. I have the Garden Chair in there. The next one that I'm setting up is this green one, and this one will be for The Poisoned Garden, which is book 1 in Books, Botanicals, and Broomsticks. This one, which will be Ring of Retribution, which is book 7 in the Lodge series. I'm not 100% sure what comes after those 4, but that's a lot. I do know that I have another romance that I set up the same way. This actually, there's an example. I just wrote them on sticky notes and stuck them in there, and that is called What Stayed. And I think I'm ready to push forward now. I feel good about this. Finally. So there you go. That is kind of my writing process, well defined, not only for you, but for myself. And hopefully, if you're a writer, you found something useful, or you know to trust your process. If you're a reader, there's a little insight as to how these things somehow come together. And you know, we are well underway to writing the end in Silence at the Cemetery. So that's it for me today. Please, if you're new, like, subscribe. It would help me out. I appreciate you being here and spending this last 20 minutes with me. Until next time, take care.